Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Lake Hot Rods. Today we're going to start on the... All right, for my next trick, I'm going to perform surgery on the hubs so that I can get these 18-inch Charger wheels to fit. I did some research on the internet, and supposedly the bolt pattern is 5 by 115 millimeter, same as the Blazer front clip piece that I got here, but it is not. So it's just a little bit off. So I'm going to have to, I thought about it, and I don't think welding up the wheel holes and re-drilling is the right idea. It's not hardened or anything. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. So what I'm going to do is pull the hub, which I already have on this one. I'm going to pull the wheel hub, and I've got it over in the workbench. I'm going to bring a wheel over there to the workbench as well, and reline up these holes on the existing hub, and re-drill the hub to fit these new wheels. So a Charger Pursuit wheel. So I'll go through and fill in all the holes, and it'll match the back rim. So now I've got parts and pieces from all the big three manufacturers, Chevrolet, Ford, and Dodge. So just like a little smorgasbord of parts here. So let's get this over on the workbench, and let's see if we can make a mess or make something. All right, for my next trick, we're going to start working on these wheels. I want to go ahead and get these holes sanded so I can start filling these holes with some steel and make a solid wheel and make them match the back set. So I'll have a set of Steelies and hubcaps put on them. So we'll get on to that, and hopefully I don't burn a hole in this tire and pop it, because I'd like to bust it off the rim and try to sell them. Real lucky on this, because I was looking at it just now, and the offset is just perfect. It tucks in just enough under the fender there so it doesn't poke out like a four-wheel drive or some goofy looking thing, but it's really in really good location as far as offset stuff like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. I don't even think the hubcap will stick out from underneath the fender, so I was kind of worried about that at first, but I think it's going to look really good. So we'll get these holes filled and keep on trucking. I certainly see the benefits of having one of those plasma tables. Cutting out 16 of these per wheel was not fun with a grinder and bandsaw, but certainly it'll speed you up. You can push some buttons and go do your thing. So maybe one of those will be something I can use in the future, an upgrade. But we'll get these ground down, and we'll get them installed on that wheel there. All right, they're all welded up. I got both wheels set up here. This is the hubcap I'm going to run. I got to find some clips to pop it on there. But once I grind them smooth, we'll do a little body work on them, and I'm going to match in the rears. So time to start grinding, the fun part. So I'm well on my way to getting this wheel done. I got all my holes filled and welded and ground. I really didn't feel like you guys would stare at that for the 2 or 3 hours it took me to do that. But I've got fiber fill on it just to kind of fill in the imperfections first. Then I'll go back over. You can see the low spots here and there. I'll go back over it with a fine coat of the filler and get it nice and slicked up. The same thing I did to the back wheels on the Dodge wheels there, the 20s that I banded and filled in all the gaps. So each one had 16 pieces that I had to fill, which was a pain in the butt, but cutting them and fitting them and making sure they fit each hole, so it's not really, really irregular, but it's just cosmetic. So I really didn't feel like it's the end of the world. I filled and sanded a wheel before, so it worked. And I'll eventually put some nice automotive grade paint on it. Just wanted to show these. This is the final. Once it's painted, it'll be done. I'm good. Got a little more, like I said, filling to do and sanding, so I won't bore you with all that crap, but turning out really good, and I'm really stoked. It's just a prototype phase because the clips are not spring steel, and they tend to bend and deform when you push or pop the hubcap off. So it's not completely holding it center. But I'm really happy with the results of that hubcap sticking on there like that, and it stays on pretty good. You got to do a little prying to get it off, but like I said, the little clips will deform. So that's the problem I'm running into now, but so far so good. I've got a second round of body fill on these wheels, both of them actually, that one too. Sorry to try to make you sick there, moving the camera around. But I'm going to sand this, and maybe I'll get a coat of primer on it and maybe some paint, and we'll see how they look. But so far, I'm pretty happy with them, and they're going to fit. So we're going to run them, get some tires, get them on the car, and we'll get a roller. So get rid of those little spare tires that I got on there. Well, I may or may not have shown this in detail before, but this is the door latch assembly for my passenger side door. This will be specific for Falcons 62, probably through 65. I would imagine they're all the same. But earlier 60s cars might even be through the first generation, the round body Falcon. But what I've done is attached the solenoid to the original striker assembly. And I've got a spring in the door, so when you pull this lever, it lets this wheel rotate, which is what makes everything work in here and opens the door. So the spring will push against the door, and you push a button, and this solenoid will pop, pulling the mechanism, letting it unlock, rolling, pushing the door open. That's how you get in the car. Our problem is running into when I just started assembling the door here and the power window mechanism and all this stuff, just getting it lined up and starting to work, getting little quirks and details out of the things while I'm at it, while I'm here and waiting on other parts to arrive. So working with what I got. So we got the window working correctly. We come over here, and this is hitting the channel in which the window rolls up and down on, or rides up and down on. We didn't have that in place beforehand, so now we're noticing that it hits. So we decided to try to come out here on this lever, but this solenoid doesn't have enough pull to overcome the larger lever. If the further out you go, the less leverage you have. So we're going to try to get as close to the pivot point as we can. So second version, I don't know. So I don't know if this what version this is, but I'm going to attempt to. This is one that doesn't have the modifications. So I'm going to attempt. This is one that doesn't have modifications done to it yet. So I had. Bear with me here. Had a little washer, which I think will be better. And if you notice right above my thumb, there's just that little divot, and that will allow the cable. We may even need to run a drill bit through there, but once I get this washer welded on place, that will go back to creating the spot. Because this spot seems to work. This one here is one we tested, and you can see where I've got the, sorry, this is a little tricky to film. So this one works, but that pipe hits the channel. So we've got to get a little less space in there. We've got to get it closer to that lever. So that's where this idea comes in from welding this flat. So that's where the idea comes in at weld a flat washer on there. And just ever so slightly have enough room. I think that'll be perfect, actually. That'll be a really, really good idea to put a washer on it. So I'm going to cut this washer in half. I'm basically using it for metal. And cut it in half and tack it in there and see if that'll work. So let me get to that, and we'll get right back at it. So now with the washer in place, I think that is going to be our ticket because it gives me just enough room. I will run a drill bit in there, but I got to still get a steel cable in there from the solenoid, which is that. So it'll be tight, but I'll be able to get a drill bit in there. So I think that'll work. Let me do that. I got to re-weld another tube in here for the guide like we got on this guy. This little tube here. I'm going to re-weld that in there and see if that'll work. So I'll show, I got my washer welded in here. I got a tube welded in here. And I got my solenoid hooked up and a little test switch here. And as long as this wheel clears, this arm gets pulled back, it should clear that wheel and allow that to roll. And that will. Problem I'm running into is this stop has to be perpendicular or parallel to the this. And then it's perpendicular and it's going to hit my window channel. So if I flip it, it actually hits this little lever right here. So I'm gonna have to cut that down a little bit, and I'll be able to lay that back down. Now this should work with any 60s Ford latch assembly. It's not that hard to adapt something like this. Just got to figure out a way to mount it, and I've run some speed nuts in here, or riv nuts. Put some riv nuts in this little bracket, this is all factory. You can't really move it because it's plastic welded on there, but I'll figure out a way to mount that to the door and put a little slot here, and it'll locate it and keep it from twisting, and that'll work. All right, so I got the coil cover just kind of laying in place. I did a little looking and researching and realized I have the wrong coils for these to fit. They're specific coils. There's only two, first gen and I think fifth gen. So they lay differently. Obviously they're lower profile. So it is what it is. What I'll do is I fit them. They work good. They fit right. Bolts line up, everything like that. So what I'll do is at a later time, I'll get some coils, and we'll replace the coils as we go. But what I want to do is get the thing running. That's most important. This is just dress up stuff. It looks killer. I'm not gonna lie about that. It looks good. So save me some time from making covers and all that crap too. So definitely gonna keep them. But like I said, just make sure you do a little more research than I did, and make sure you get the right coils that'll fit down, because they're just a lower profile design. That's all. So anyway, we'll get these buzzed back off, put them back in the box, keep them for a later date, and we'll get this thing buttoned back up, and hopefully don't run any problems with the injectors. So I'll go ahead and get those on, get the intake buttoned up, and let's try to get that other engine out of there, and let's see what we can come up with today. So we've got the heat shrink out, the wiring strippers, soldering gun, wire ties, and all the likes that go along with it. So that tells you it's time for wiring. We went ahead and swapped out the 6-liter and put with the mock-up block. Threw it on Facebook Marketplace, and I've already sold it. So permanent motor's in. It's not permanently in, but this is the engine we're running. Went ahead and put the accessory drive on the front, and we've started determining the location of the wiring loom, or the wiring harness, and just terminating, cutting short, lengthening a few wires here and there. For the most part, it's in pretty good shape. There's a few terminals that I'm still working through. The park neutral switch, or the neutral safety switch, is one of them, and I've got to find my sensor for the water temperature. Minor stuff, not a big deal. A lot of it's just routing and cutting them, shortening them, and changing the orientation of from the original location. Did go ahead and crimp my fuel line in place. Got it tucked over there so it's out of the way. Fuel line comes up through the transmission tunnel, and it'll come over here and hit my intake manifold. So that's in there, and shoot, I mean, we're really hitting it hard. Starter's hooked up, starter circuit's complete, other than the battery termination. I've got to hook up the relay to the switch, which triggers the starter. Nothing to it. But like I said, it's just minor little things here and there, and it's taking a little bit of time. We've been working on this since about 7 this morning, and we've made a lot of progress, and I'm really happy with it. I do have to get some pigtails to adapt the fuel injectors. I'm using Corvette style injectors, so they're different than these. I'm not sure of the terminology, but there's a few different types of fuel injectors that GM used over the years. So I've got some pigtails coming, and I'll just cut these off and wire in my new injectors, and those should be here probably Monday or Tuesday. So I was hoping to try to get a little test fire on this week, but it's only got a couple more days left of my break, and I got to go back to work. So paying the bills. That's okay. We're really well on the way. Circuit for the alternators complete. Got a few little connectors I got to get for the steam port line here to go into the back of the water pump. I'm gonna get a power steering. I gotta get the power steering lines hooked up. I gotta figure out I figured out the type of fitting is here, but I wanted to try to get a clean hard line and a shorter one, because the factory one kind of runs down here and loops around. I don't know if that's necessary. It doesn't really make any sense to me, but I'll probably have to get a custom line, or they make AN lines for it and adapters. So those are kind of clean and nice, and they're black, so they hide well. Uh, things like that. Water pump, radiator, upper radiator hose, lower radiator hose. Still got to situate the lower one. I've still got to figure it out more or less. I'm really happy with it. We're making a lot of headway with it. Going back under the dash, I got all the dash wiring. What we did was I made a plate to go under the floor. So all the wiring will be routed through the console, underneath the console, mount the computer up here a little bit further forward. Then we made a little access hole here in the transmission tunnel, and I've got a plate that the wiring will go through, and I'll put a rubber seal or something in there to keep the wires from chafing. But that contraption here, this tubing here, is actually to route my vacuum line through the car, and I just added it to this plate here that I made that just helps keep it clean and pass through. And then this tube will actually go to the brake booster, so which is under the dash. So I had to kind of figure out a way to cleanly route it under the tunnel so you can't see it, and then back around over to the dash there. All my switches are hidden here underneath the edge, so you have to start switch, push button start, AC, ACC, fog lights, headlights, horn, all those sorts of things are under there. So it's nice and clean, and you don't see any buttons or switches or anything on the dash. So pretty happy with the way that's turning out. Got a horn to hook up, or just got to complete the circuit and get all these wires tidied up. And I think I'm going to build a panel underneath here to upholster. Kind of waiting and debating on whether I want to do that and what I want to do with my AC duct, my AC vents. I don't want to just have a little pod hanging down right there, so it just kind of looks like it doesn't tie in anything. It looks like I added air conditioning as an afterthought. I may come down and add a secondary panel, which is what most cars, when you add AC, that's what you got to do. But it'll go all the way across and fill in the gap here, and then go all the way across and fill in that gap as well. So just to keep it clean, and if I can find some slim AC vents that'll fit in here, I will. I don't necessarily want a big old circular one, and I certainly don't want to cut them into the dash. I just don't like. I like how I've got it clean, and I want to keep it that way. So, all in all, yeah, that's pretty well an update. Shifter's hooked up. Shifter cable's hooked up. It shifts the transmission correctly, and like I said, I got all my cables routed through here, and they're going to go back to my fuse panel, and I've got to just crimp them all and tie them all together, and we'll be on our way. The attack module for the drive-by-wire, and I checked this. I found some loom here that I probably will run. I got to get some smaller diameter stuff for shorter runs and thinner wire, but this is going to be the loom I'm going to run all my wires here in, and on the inside at least. I'm pretty sure this will hold up to exterior as well, but I mean, the way I've got it routed, you won't see it no matter what. So, but yeah, it's pretty much the only update I can do. I'm not going to film me soldering wires together, and you guys would hate that. I know I would hate it, and I'm doing it. So, yeah, just a good update. Power windows are situated. Made a little mock-up piece out of wood here. I've got that going up and down correctly. This major wiring is what I wanted to try to tackle this week, since I've got probably 95% of the parts I need to do it. So, yeah, so that's it. That's a little quick update. We'll get this intake on and get a lot of the other stuff buttoned up, and we'll be in good shape. We'll really be moving forward a lot. So I'm really looking forward to trying to get a crank and a test fire, and we'll see what kind of mess I've got to go through, and try to. Hopefully, there's no troubleshooting. Just fires right up. Then cross your fingers. That's what happens. So anyway, thanks y'all for watching, y'all, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit. Well, we got a lot of work done on the car. A lot of the wiring was terminated and located and shortened and lengthened and whatever else needed to be done to it. I still got a few little terminations to make and I've got an adaptive fuel pump connection to it. So just a few little odds and ends. Got a lot of grounds tied up, and crucial on newer cars with computers and stuff like that. So just need to make sure all those little connections are buttoned up. I don't want to cause a fire. So next time you see it, maybe it'll run. We'll do this. I still got a little ways to go. So it's a little bit ambitious, but I've got all the ingredients to do it. I just got to find the time to get it installed and tidied up. So anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and follow along with the build. And maybe one day this thing will drive down the road. So we'll see you next time on Big Leg Hot Rods, and make sure you get out there and get after it.